Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Dashen, Usman. The top stories at this hour. Tensions mount in Nigeria. Content Development Monitoring Board as Minister and Executive Secretary tussle for power. Senate suspends Senator Ningi for 3 months following his allegations on budget padding. Guinea's military-appointed Prime Minister hints at a delayed return to civilian rule. Details shortly. We begin the news at this hour in West Africa, where tension between Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Oil, who doubles as chairman of the Governing Council of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Heineken Lokpobiri, and the Executive Secretary of the board, Felix Ogbe, is heating up with the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria branch shutting down operations. In a letter to Ogbe on Monday, March 11th, signed by the chairman, Benson Inifie, Secretary, Simon Isiekpe, and Industrial Relations, Yagwe James, served the notice that they will be proceeding on strike over the seeming impasse between him and Lokpobiri. The union said its indefinite strike will continue pending the resolution of the issue surrounding the redeployment of staff. President Bola Tinubu has officially appointed Dr. Dayo Moberola as the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, marking a new era for the agency. Moberola's appointment comes following the conclusion of Mr. Bashir Jamo's tenure, signaling a transition in leadership within NIMASA. Prior to his appointment, he served as the Managing Director of Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Lamata, from 2003 to 2015, and subsequently held the position of Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State from 2015 to 2016. The president expressed confidence in Moberola's ability to lead NIMASA effectively, emphasizing the importance of achieving the agency's mandate in maritime safety administration, marine pollution prevention, and other key areas. Let's also tell you that the Nigerian Senate has suspended fellow lawmaker Abdul Ningi for 3 months over claims made by the lawmaker that about 3.7 trillion naira was inserted into the nation's 2024 budget. This followed a heated debate on the floor of the Senate, where some lawmakers say Ningi had brought the image of the Senate to disrepute following the allegations against the upper legislative chamber. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was a chaotic session on the floor of the Senate. Lawmakers took turn to express their view over the allegations by Abdul Ningi, who had claimed that the Senate had padded Nigeria's 2024 budget.
I think will be Senator Ningi, who I respect a lot, has a duty even to his own children, that he will not be the man who will be reported in the front pages of newspapers and electronic media all over the world and say something that he found out is not true.
Allegations have been made against Senator Abdul Ningi. I think it's only fair for us to give him time or to give him chance to defend himself. This thing has happened. It has happened. And Ningi was wrong. I told Ningi in here that he made a mistake, that he should stand up and apologize to us first, then apologize that, look, this even figure that I'm looking for 3 trillion is here. What my big brother, distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, who I respect so well, planned to do or set out to do was tantamount to a civilian coup.
I have here a copy of the last 3 budgets that was passed, 2021, 2022, 2023. All the details of these agencies I've mentioned are not contained in this document. So for my brother who have put up a consultant to look into these budgets and have reported that 25 trillion was approved by the Senate, it's not been fair to the Senate.
Though many lawmakers were upset, Senator Ningi was given an opportunity to defend himself.
Please, can you allow me to, Mr. President, perusing through the budget. First, we discover bogus anomalies of repetition. We discovered some senatorial districts in this particular document. Some senatorial districts have up to 120 billion.
However, the Senate took a voice vote where majority voted for his suspension.
The Senate hereby places distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi on suspension in respect of his vituperations, falsehood, and unverified report in the BBC interview, including other media or houses, and is therefore suspended for a period of 3 months from partaking in events in the Senate or being found in the prisons of the National Assembly for the next 3 months.
Senator Ningi, who was also accused of using the platform of the Northern Senators Forum, resigned from the position following the suspension by the Senate. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Thank you, Amadin, for that report. Now, public affairs analyst Jide Ojo will be joining me to further discuss this right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on News Central now. Joining me to discuss the budget padding allegations and the suspension of Senator Abdul Ningi is Jide Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst. Hello, Jide. Thank you so much for joining me. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
All right, so let's hear your reaction to the whole budget padding allegation saga and also the fallout from it.
Thank you. I guess it's so unfortunate where someone who is as educated and as who is a ranking member of the Nigerian Senate will make allegations that is bringing the institution of the Nigerian legislature to public disrepute. What is the whole essence of granting that interview? You are playing the ethnic card. You said Tinubu administration is anti-North. You said that 3.7 trillion could not be found, could not be matched. There is no project cost and location. Meanwhile, a rookie who is just a fresher in the National Assembly will know that budget document is calibrated into different parts. There is what is called the capital expenditure and then the recurrent expenditure. You cannot have a recurrent expenditure in the form of project. So it goofed on that count. Two, even if there were to be any padding, who did the padding? It is the National Assembly. The president submitted a budget of 27 trillion to the Senate on November 29. And by the time this Nigerian National Assembly was returning the same budget to the president on January 1, they have increased it by 1.2 trillion. So that's what jacked the cost up to 28.7 trillion. Now, leave that aside. Talk about padding. From time immemorial, members of the National Assembly have always put something in the budget for their constituency project. And it doesn't come to me as a surprise that some got, some didn't get. It's the power of appropriation. However, the fault is from both the executive and the legislative arm. Why did I say this? Did you know that the budget of 2024 is over 2,000 pages long? And the president submitted the budget proposal late on November 29 and asked the National Assembly to expeditiously pass the budget before the end of the year. So invariably, the National Assembly had barely 1 month to pass a budget of that volume, 2,000 pages long. So there is no way they could have done a thorough job because they were running against time. What they even did was to quickly organize what they call public hearing at Transcomputing, where they invited some few individuals. At the end of the day, they were flying blind. They didn't have time to study in detail what the proposal from the executive
all right, now, Jide,
is.
talking about not having enough time to study the details of the budget, in your view, are there any broader implications of this, when it comes to budget transparency and accountability in Nigeria?
It's a strong issue. It's a strong issue that we have turned budgeting to hollow ritual, that, the executive always gets away with blue murder, not implementing fully the budget, and we have always run budget of deficit. If you look at the budget, like I said on another platform yesterday, here we are. The National Assembly padded the budget, pardon my use of word. They increased the budget from 27.5 trillion to 28.7 trillion, 28.77 trillion. Now, they increased in the amount for some agencies of government. But the president did just the same way as the National Assembly did not have time to look critically at the budget. The president also signed a budget that he didn't read, neither did any of his aides read. So the devil is always in the details. And the system, some member of the parliament who are powerful may have inserted one thing or the other that will not be. So when Abdul Ningi was talking of, many duplicated projects and all of that, it is always like that every year. Pick any year's budget. If you bring Shehu Nigbide to your studio, Shehu Nigbide is the executive director of budget. It's an NGO based in Lagos. Go and read budget report over the years, whether at the federal or state level. It has always faced this issue of transparency and accountability. So we are not where we ought to go. We are not where we ought to be with budget transparency and budget accountability. Right. It has always been enmeshed in all manner of controversies because of the selfish, parochial, and self-aggrandizing interest of the political elite of Nigeria.
All right, today. Now, there are also insinuations that Senator Ningi's suspension might be politically motivated and that his party affiliation, that's being a member of the PDP, might have played a role in how the case was handled. What's your perspective on this?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. He overreached himself, first by granting that interview. From what I learned yesterday, he initially raised the issue with the leadership and president of the Senate, what's his name now? Promised to look into that issue. Before there would be an official response to his complaint, he went to the media and was playing the ethnic card. So and you could see that as at Monday, many of his colleagues from northern Nigeria dissociated from his position. So he was on his own. If he were to be a member of APC, the same thing would have been meted to him. It's about discipline. And the National Assembly has the right to discipline any of his erring member. You can see that even when he was given opportunity to defend himself, he was still insistent on his position. And to that extent, I think it has nothing to do with whether he was a member of PDP, Labour, or NMPP. Okay. It's about bringing the institution of legislature to public ridicule, public opprobrium. That's the punishment. And you could see that initially the motion was for him to be suspended for 1 year. Another person moved motion for 6 months. Another moved motion for 3 months. And eventually the voice vote upheld the position of those who want him to be suspended for a quarter, which is 3 months.
Okay.
So I'm not sure it has to do with his party affiliation in this regard.
All right. Now, just before we let you go, Jide, what precedent would you say this case has actually set for the handling of future allegations of budget padding?
Again, that's the more reason why there should be discipline. That's the more reason why Abdul Ningi needs to be called to order. Because, this has set a very bad precedent. Although he is not the first senator to be suspended, it has happened in time past, both in the upper and lower chamber. So, but it is also to serve as a deterrent to those who want to drag the institution of Nigerian legislature, which is an arm of government, to ridicule, to think twice before they start. I mean, people like us who are public affairs analysts may say things, we may goof, but for somebody who is inside, who is part of the ruling elite, because whether you are in opposition or you are in government, you are part of the ruling elite. After all the largesse that they have been sharing, he has also been sharing in those largesses. That's why the fact that he belongs to the opposition. So to that extent, you could see that even the Senator Ali Ndume said he called Ningi and told him he was wrong. So to that extent, I think in future, others will exercise caution before they start, granting press interviews that may drag the institution of legislature to public ridicule. I think that's the lessons for everyone. And all of us must also, and that's why it's also very important for NABRO to be established. What is NABRO? National Assembly Budget and Research Office, which is now a private member bill before the National Assembly. When they have NABRO, that's National Assembly Budget and Research Office, that will also help in dissecting and calibrating budgets, and the public will be better educated about budgeting process and the implications. And even members of the assembly will have the opportunity to get facts and figures about not only the current budget, but previous budgets when that office is eventually established. So it's a good precedent. It tells you, even the Bible says where there is no sin, where there is no sin, where there is no law, there is no sin. So there is law governing the institution of Senate, and any one of his members that had to be disciplined. And that's exactly what has happened with Ningi. But I think it's a moral lesson for all of us, whether outside of the institution or within the institution, to always exercise caution when we are making statements in the public domain.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jide Ojo, public affairs analyst, for joining me and speaking on this. We appreciate you for your time.
My pleasure. Please keep safe. Yeah, cheers.
All right. Now, staying with the legislature, the bills for an act to expunge imprisonment punishment for anyone caught attempting suicide, the establishment of a bank for the nation's mining sector, and the establishment of a tertiary medical center in Cross River State, southern Nigeria, have all passed second reading. The three bills, which were considered for the second time to the floor of the House of Representatives, were passed after a voice vote by lawmakers.
First among the three bills that passed the second reading is a bill for an act to amend Section 327 of the nation's criminal code, which provides a 1-year imprisonment for any person who attempts to commit suicide. Despite suicide being regarded as a mental health condition by the World Health Organization, it is finally getting the attention of lawmakers.
We should use our privilege as lawmakers to harmonize the laws in such a way that the Criminal Code Section 327 is amended to ensure that those who attempt suicide are rather given psychosocial counseling.
Also, the bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Mining Development Bank, which, according to lawmakers, will provide financial support, promote investment, and the development of the nation's mining sector.
A pivotal focus emerges on fostering inclusive growth, thereby amplifying its societal impact. This bill purposely extends a supportive arm to individuals, cooperatives, and companies actively involved in mining activities,
The average banking outlet that will actually require you to, in some cases, exhume the grave of your grandmother before they can give you a loan, do not take into cognizance the high risk factor that is involved in this sector. To this end, we need a special purpose vehicle.
The last of the three bills is the bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Center Act and establish a federal medical center in Cross River State to provide access to health care for people living in Boki local government area of the state.
The nearest tertiary medical center to Boki local government is 4 hours, that is in Abakaliki, and 6 hours in Calabar, the state capital. So if somebody is sick, there is a tendency that before the person is taken to these centers, something else may have happened to the person.
The bills which received support from lawmakers were passed after a voice vote and will now be referred to their various committees for more input. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
The United Nations International Education Fund and the Borno State government have matriculated 1,000 out-of-school youth and adolescents in vocational skills training. Now, this program is part of the 3-year project called Safe Inclusion Learning and Skills for All, which aims to reach a total of 4,800 youths and adolescents in the insurgency-ravaged region. Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
The statistics of out-of-school youth and adolescents has been described as a time bomb waiting to explode, particularly in the insurgency-ravaged region of Nigeria's northeast. Sadiq Abubakar, who has been battling with his life and unemployment occasioned by the years of conflict in Borno, now has a cause to smile. This initiative by the UNICEF seeks to address the educational gap, ensuring that those young persons not in schools have access to specialized vocational training that will enhance their employability.
Through the funding from the government of Norway, UNICEF will be supporting the Borno State government through the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology and Innovation to train 4,800 out-of-school youth by 2025. Out of this number, 3,200 beneficiaries will be trained this year, and as we can witness now, we are beginning with the first batch of 1,000.
They were strategically chosen to equip them with skills for economic empowerment upon their return to their ancestral home.
The atmosphere was filled with joy and enthusiasm as 1,000 of the youth and adolescents celebrate their matriculation.
If you resettle people, you need to have to give them what to do. And this is why we are here to train these youth so that they can become one in the communities they live.
Immediately after graduation, they are being empowered with the startup pack and then the financial support to start up their own businesses.
We are indirectly providing job to the families of over 6,000 populace.
At the vocational center where the youths are being trained, I met Fatima Ishaku, who shared her experience in overcoming the adversity of displacement from Gamborungala to Maiduguri due to the conflict.
Alhamdulillah da muka zo nan gashi da mun zo mun samu sana'an da zamu koya mu yi dogaro da kai.
By empowering these out-of-school youth and adolescents, the humanitarian actors and the government aims to curb poverty, enhance social inclusion, and promote economic growth in the state. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Thank you, Umaru, for that report. Now, Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has formally declared his intention to contest the November 16 governorship election in the state. He made the declaration at the Gani Fawehimi Arcade in Akure on Tuesday. Aiyedatiwa, who became the governor of the state on December 27, 2023, following the demise of his principal, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, will be contesting the governorship ticket of the All Progressives Congress at the primary coming up in April. Speaking at the event, Aiyedatiwa said he sought to retain the governorship seat to continue from where his late principal stopped, particularly in the area of welfare of the people, infrastructural development, and security of the state. Authorities in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, have ordered that all illegal structures and shanties along all creeks, waterways, bridges, and under high-tension cables be demolished, while the illegal occupants should be evicted. The action became necessary to protect lives and property of about 22 million Lagosians. News Central's Ni Omoni completes the story.
In Lagos, the lack of adequate housing and rapid rate of urbanization has resulted in millions of people constructing their own homes, often on land they do not own. These informal settlements, commonly referred to as shantytowns or slums, provide basic shelter for many of the city's poorest residents. The homes, typically built from scrap materials like wood, plastic sheeting, and corrugated metal, often offer rudimentary housing when first constructed. However, Lagos State recently commenced a large-scale demolition of illegal structures and shanties across the region, with the most recent demolitions occurring in the Jakande estate.
Some of the buildings you see that they call shanty or attachment here in Jakande, they initially moving from Morocco. They move people from Morocco down to this place. So, and the numbers of buildings they gave to people in Jakande is not up to the people, the numbers of people they move from Morocco. So what happened is this, they have to find a way because there is nowhere to go.
I feel so bad.
Why?
Because they did not notify any of the people here. So that those houses, they have their allocation paper, but instead of them listening to us, they came and start running after us, chasing us away.
One reason given for the demolitions is to improve the image of the state in line with the Lagos Urban Regeneration Plan.
Everything is turned into environmental slum, and we can't continue with that. That's why we are moving into Ijora, Obalende, and this. So everyone that has legal documents have been inventorized. We already know where they are, and then we will get to them.
Some homes have been built on waterways and drainage alignment, and another stated rationale is to create a flood-free metropolis as the rainy season begins.
The whole of Apapa collectors are blocked. The right of way had been taken over by individuals who moved their fences to take extra land and not allow us take care of the collectors. And we have no time to waste. Rain have started.
For those displaced due to the demolition efforts, is their predicament solely due to illegal habitation, or do we apportion some blame to the government for its inability to provide accessible and affordable housing options? While aiming to end all illegal acts that could impact public safety, many say the Lagos authorities must also address the underlying lack of sufficient housing supply that contributes to the proliferation of informal settlements. In Lagos, for News Central, Ni Omoni.
When on 10th of October 2023, the chairman of the Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State, Adeshina Ogunshola, was reported by the Punch newspaper to have said that road construction will commence in the Magboro area of the council after the rainy season of that year, and his statement seemed to have come with some level of joy and hope for the people of Magboro community. Unfortunately, the rainy season came and went without any trace of construction work as promised by the chairman. It's been 5 months since that promise, and the rains are here again. So our special correspondent on investigative journalism, Marshal Anthony Ononye, tries to find out how the people are holding on to that promise. His report.
The once barren Magboro along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Ogun State, became active about 16 years ago, with hundreds of people migrating from parts of Lagos and Ogun State. Now the once peaceful and fast-developing area has become a hell on earth for residents of the community, owing to what the people say is a total neglect by the government. That neglect seems to be very evident in two major public infrastructure, access road and power supply.
A lot of influx. A lot of people are moving, most especially when this the highway construction commenced. So, and people know the potential that Magboro has connecting to Lagos and all that. So that really gives us hedge.
The ballooning size of Magboro is helped by more than 10 other communities bordering the town. These communities include Shofolarin, Ibasha, Ajegunle, Makogi, Abuloko, and Gong. Others include Magada, Igodo, Shote, Ishefun Elede, Okeayo, Agungi, and Pampanra. Magboro also shares boundaries with notable towns like Ibafo, Mowe, Akute, and Arekbo.
This was awarded in 2015. It was awarded and hoping that it will be completed and good one for that matter, but the project, yes, was not completed. And all what we heard was that it has been commissioned.
The light we are using here, I contributed in doing the light.
Mr. Mike, a landlord and shop owner, says living and doing business in Magboro has become an unprofitable venture, lamenting the state of the road and power supply.
They came last year, they said they're going to do this road, but because of the rain, that when rain stops, they will start doing the road. We are entering under rainy season. We never see anybody. And it's very bad of them because they are collecting revenue even from me that is here.
They come, they collect tax, they collect permits, trade permits. And each time they come, I always accuse them that you people come here to collect money from us, but you are not giving anything back to the society.
One account by a respondent in an online publication by Taiwo Alimi opines that it was in the early 90s and out of ignorance, some indigents of the community sold off the topsoil of their land to some money bags and government officials. According to what was passed down, thousands of tons of soil was taken from Magboro to fill Alausa in Ikeja, the present seat of power in Lagos State, hence the flood whenever it so much as drizzles, rendering the area impotent. Residents who own cars tell tales of how they cannot make use of their cars, otherwise they risk getting stuck in the craters or have their vehicles break down in the middle of the road.
Every year we spend nothing less than 15 million naira to just have a palliative. The palliative that could not even stand the test of time, because we are not allowed to do any major work on the government road without their approval.
The transport there is too high. When there is rain now and the road fell like this now, all the whole road will be flooded. Okada, where they are taking 100, they will say 300. So we are suffering it so much.
When it is rain, it used to give us problem because our motor will be getting spoiled. The water will be no better drainage, and that is what caused the damage on the road. We are begging government to come to our aid and help us rehabilitate, rebuild that road.
The earnest yearning of the people is that someday soon the government will keep to its word of giving this community the access road it so long deserves. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Onoye.
Now in neighboring Niger Republic, a United States general and high-ranking official have embarked on a crucial visit to the West African country, aiming to engage with the military junta following the ousting of elected leader Mohamed Bazoum. The delegation's mission, spearheaded by General Michael Langley of U.S. Africa Command, marks a renewed effort to establish contact after the coup and subsequent political upheaval in Niger. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's previous visit to Niger in March 2023 underscored the nation's growing significance as a strategic partner for the United States and its European allies in the Sahel region. However, recent events, including successive coups in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, have reshaped the geopolitical landscape, prompting the need for swift diplomatic engagement. You're watching News Central now. Coming up after the break, Guinea's Prime Minister Ba hints at delayed return to democracy. We have the details after the break. Join us again. The news continues in West Africa, where Guinea's new Prime Minister has suggested the generals who seized power in the 2021 coup will delay a return to civilian rule until at least 2025. Amadou Oriba, appointed by the military 2 weeks ago, is the first high-ranking official to indicate the junta may fail to meet their pledge to hand over power by the end of 2024. Regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, had pressured the military to organize elections before the end of the year. But it looked increasingly unlikely that this would happen given a lack of progress towards a power transfer and a turbulent domestic situation. Still in West Africa, Togolese members of parliament have voted to extend the state of emergency in the northern Savannahs region of an additional 12 months in response to ongoing security threats stemming from jihadist incursions. The decision comes amidst heightened concerns over the persistent infiltration of militant groups from neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali, posing significant security challenges for Togo and its neighboring countries. President Farouk Nassimbe initially decreed the state of emergency in June 2022, and it has since been extended twice, highlighting the severity and longevity of the security crisis in the region. In his remarks to lawmakers, Colonel Hodabalo Awate emphasized the government's commitment to utilizing this measure judiciously to bolster security and ensure a conducive environment for the upcoming legislative and regional elections scheduled for April 20. The Senegalese government is set to withdraw its appeal against the court's ruling reinstating opposition figure Usman Sonko on the electoral roll. Sources close to the case revealed that the government plans to retract the appeal during the Supreme Court hearing scheduled for Thursday, marking a potential turning point in Sonko's legal battle. The Dakar High Court previously ordered Sonko's reinstatement on the electoral roll in mid-December, overturning his removal following a conviction for sexual misconduct. The court deemed the conviction invalid as it was handed down while Sonko was still at large, thus warranting a retrial under the criminal code. Sonko's potential return to the electoral roll could restore his electoral rights, offering a glimmer of hope for his supporters. Now in East Africa, a non-governmental organization, Save the Children, has warned of an imminent threat of hunger-related deaths for nearly 230,000 children and new mothers in war-torn Sudan. Arif Noor, the country director for Save the Children in Sudan, painted a grim picture of the situation, citing the destruction of essential infrastructure like fields and factories as worsening factors. The organization emphasized that without immediate intervention, this crisis could claim the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Over 2.9 million children in Sudan suffer from an acute malnutrition, with an additional 729,000 children under 5 facing severe acute malnutrition, the most lethal form of extreme hunger. And now we move to the continent's north, where Morocco has sent 40 tons of humanitarian supplies for Gaza via Israeli airport, the latest bid to diversify aid routes into the war-battered territory. According to a Moroccan diplomatic source, the food aid had arrived in Ben Gurion Airport near Tel Aviv before being transferred to the Palestinian Red Crescent at the Karim Shalom crossing between Israel and Gaza. Rabat's foreign ministry said in a statement that Morocco is the first country to transport its humanitarian aid via this unprecedented land route. Now, since the war began on October 7, 8 trucks have generally entered the Gaza Strip via Egypt. In southern Africa, the state-owned broadcaster says 4 people have died and 1 person have been injured as Storm Filippo hit southern Mozambique's Inhambane province. Roofs have been ripped off schools and residential homes. In the tourist areas of Tofo and Bara, The waves have destroyed several boats, and we also understand that in some areas the roads are inaccessible. Local authorities say the storm has disrupted electricity supply and communication lines. Storm Filippo continues to batter the province with intermittent rains and gusty winds. Its effects are already being felt in the capital Maputo and the area around it. In other news from around the world, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is still nowhere in sight as more than 2 million people in Gaza enter the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh has blamed Israel for stalling ceasefire talks and rejecting Hamas's demand to end the war in Gaza, but said the group is still seeking a negotiated solution. Haniyeh said Israel had not yet given a commitment to end it, according to reports. Now, Hamas has agreed to a revised version of a ceasefire proposal put forward by the United States. Meanwhile, representatives of Hamas are preparing to travel to Cairo for further discussions to finalize the details of the proposed ceasefire agreement.
It wouldn't mean peace, neither to the Israelis nor for the Gazians, because Hamas will grow again, will control Gaza again, and Hamas is not interested of the well-being of the Palestinians or the Gazians. Hamas is interested in killing Israelis. It has said that very, very clearly. So Hamas is not interested in a ceasefire. Hamas is interested in surviveness. Israel is interested in defeating Hamas and bringing back the hostages if there will be a ceasefire.
Residents of Port-au-Prince have welcomed the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who was pushed out by gangs that have plunged the Caribbean country into renewed violence and chaos since last week, leaving public services shattered, many people displaced, and bodies strewn in the streets.
Pour nous désigner un monde qui va combler l'espace vide là, qui va faire transition, qui va créer une possibilité pour qu'il y ait une bonne élection.
Now in business, the Nigerian Naira has been in a race to the bottom at the official and unofficial foreign exchange markets since the Central Bank of Nigeria allowed the official rate to weaken in June. Year to date, Africa's most populous nation's currency has depreciated by 14%, hurting businesses and further eroding consumer earnings. In this report, Perpetua Fasomi Peter examines how the twin issues of high energy costs and Naira devaluation affects small business owners.
Not really about the pricing, really. I mean, even if the Naira is going to exchange for 2,000 Naira, right? If I can be sure that if I buy the Naira today at 2,000 Naira, if I come 6 months from now, the Naira will still be doing 2,001 Naira or 1,999, like that's some stability, right?
For financial market analysts like him, stability is the answer for them. It helps them to plan. However, for small business owners, will stability be enough? What more do they want? What more do they desire? I'll be talking to as many as possible to find out what their experiences are and what their expectations, needs, and desires are also.
In a day, we can do like 10 cartons in a day or thereabouts. But these days, people come to buy in piecemeals.
The fuel, we cannot just keep burning fuel. Like now, every day, I used to buy 15,000 Naira fuel just to run the business. How much am I making?
We are selling attachments here at the rate of 4,000 Naira, thinking that we don't know that you have go higher to the extent that in the market, they are selling it 5,900. So after I sell 4,000, I now went to market to buy 5,000. So what will I take home with? How will I manage my life? How will I feed my children? As I'm talking to you, a bag of rice is 100,000. How will average Nigeria cope? Let us stop of this using of dollar. Because dollar, Ugu, they are calling dollar.
Is there an end in sight? What are their expectations? And just like many financial market analysts say, will a stable Naira be enough?
Government can help us. Even mostly food. People are suffering. People are suffering. If there is a way they can do it, let them have people that will control the selling, the prices.
But before control price can work, until when the price of the fuel is stable. What do they want to control? When the price of fuel is very high, do they want the company to run at a loss? If they reduce the price of diesel, if the diesel price reduce, the cost of all these goods, manufacturing goods, will reduce.
Caught between rising energy costs and a weakening naira, the road ahead for Nigerian businesses seems precarious. While stability is a crucial first step, more comprehensive reforms are needed to ensure the growth and sustainability of Nigeria's small businesses. In Lagos, for News Central, Perpetua Fasami Peter.
Now in the world of sports, Arsenal edged out Porto on penalties to reach the Champions League quarterfinals for the first time since 2010 on Tuesday after their last 16 tie finished 1-1 on aggregates. Leandro Trossard's first half strike gave Arsenal a 1-0 second leg win at the Emirates after their defeat in Portugal before David Raya's 2 saves secured a 4-2 victory in the shootout. Arsenal's next game will be a Premier League match against Manchester City at Etihad Stadium on the 31st of March. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that tensions mount in Nigeria Content Development Monitoring Board as Minister and Executive Secretary tussle for power. We also told you that Senate has suspended Senator Ningi for 3 months following his allegations of budget padding. And finally, you heard that Guinea's military-appointed Prime Minister has hinted at a delayed return to civilian rule. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do you follow us on social media? We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen Usman.